Yeah, get to work.
Oh man. What's the sexy music on?
But you want me to untape it?
It's currently 5 AM. It's a little bit later than my normal gym session, but I don't know if you can hear it or not. I'm a little bit under the weather, and so I slept in a little bit later than I should do. But I have work today. I want to do a day in the life. Feeling a little bit sick, but we have to get this first gym session in to start the day right. So I think I'm going to train arms for about 45 minutes, then come home, shower, and then head to work. I don't know if you can see it in my face, but today is one of those days that I definitely don't want to be going gym. But it's just routine now, so we go anyway.
One of the things that people compliment me on the most is getting up early to go to the gym, but this is the part they don't see. It's actually such a slug. When I'm on Instagram or TikTok, it looks really easy, but it's actually not. I have to get there before I even think about it. I'm half asleep by the time I sit down on the exercise bike, but it's part of the process and I just have to bake it into the routine. Usually I'll warm up on the exercise bike for about 10 minutes just to get the heart pumping and a little bit of a sweat on, and at the same time I have a conversation with a lot of the people that I know, the usual frequenters of the gym early in the morning, and it just motivates you to seize the day because everybody around you is ticking off their goals, so you need to tick off yours as well. And then we get cracking with the workout.
Right, so we're in my car now because I had to get out of the gym ASAP. My battery died whilst I was working out this morning, but I had to get home, shower, get changed and come back, head to work because I need to get to work for 8 o'clock. Hopefully I can give you a day in the life. I don't know what to expect from today. I haven't locumed at this practice for about the past, I want to say 3 months or so. So I have no clue what they've got on the diary, but I want it to be as honest as possible and as true to my perspective as possible. So let's see what we've got on. Morning, KP. Vlog camera today. Morning, KB. Morning. This is the magic, the head nurse. This is the person that makes everything happen.
My hair.
Your hair looks wonderful.
The update is the admit, or reassess actually, I admit the dopamine yesterday.
What was dopamine yesterday?
She ate like blueberry and chocolate muffins or something and the wrappers, and then she was like really painful yesterday, like her heart rate was 200, 5 days ago or something, it was weird.
So for those of you who don't know, for the past 2 years I've been locuming. What a locum vet does is essentially we move from practice to practice wherever they need us and work for temporary periods of time. Now, this is a practice I've usually worked at before, but the downside of being a locum is that you don't know what has happened in the run up to your shift. So essentially you're going in blind. So the mornings are usually spent with KP giving me the lowdown on what has happened in the week before or the few days prior, so I can get up to speed and start working on the patients necessary and working with the clients.
I talk to them and do it. So we're already fighting fires, and the day hasn't even started. Yay!
You know what it's like here.
I know. Right, so husky to admit, puppy with Entropion. Don't know if I'm going to do the surgery. Let's see.
Okay.
Welcome to the vlog. Today's day is pretty damn busy. Right, I like this consult room. Check this one. So just to give you an idea for timing wise, my first consult is at 8:15. It's currently about 10 past 8 at the moment. Just got to log into the computer and set up the consult room.
How do you spell Usher?
U-S-H-U.
That's what you want to do to me. Do you know how long I've been waiting to ask you this?
Oh my God.
No one else, Amy knew the answer, and no one else will know the answer.
So as you can see, me and KP get on like a house on fire, and it's super important for me when I choose which practice I'm going to locum at, because as a vet, you're going to spend a lot of time with the head nurse and you need to be able to trust them, and to be able to work with somebody that you can be happy around makes all the difference.
Excellent.
Now, before I crack on with the vlog, it's important I emphasize that I asked for consent from all pets that are featured in the video. My first case of the morning was an XL bully puppy, which was booked in for surgery with myself.
Right, let's go and get some history. Our aggressive dog has been admitted for fluids and continual treatment. Possible it might have a foreign body or not. We need to investigate that a bit further. I have sedated the first dog that is supposed to be an Entropion, and I've got a consult, and then I've got a little space blocked out, about 45 minutes blocked out in the diary, so I can try and do the surgery on this dog before I have more consults. So yeah.
The morning took a little longer than expected because the dog that had to be readmitted for fluids was a little bit head shy and a little bit nervous aggressive, so we had to take our time with that one. And then our second case, which was the Entropion puppy, I had to discuss with the owners a slightly different surgery to what they'd booked in for, just because I didn't feel comfortable doing the original surgery that they had. And we will discuss that later on in the vlog. Aside from that, I had to quickly do some boosters before I actually had to do the surgery that we're talking about. For me, whenever it comes to cat consults, or any consults for that matter, I like to make it as low stress as possible. And with cats especially, you have to be careful of how much you're handling them because they can get stressed out really easily. So I tend to have more of a hands-off approach and do things more on the cat's terms. And they tend to be pretty fine and pretty comfortable throughout. I'm not really a fan of all the scruffing and forcing cats to do stuff. If they're too stressed, I will send them home with medication and we'll do it a different day. That was a total of 3 consults done, and then I had an hour blocked out so I could do the surgery on the puppy we were talking about. So what you're seeing now is just me prepping the medication for the other dog which was admitted to be on fluids. And if you look really closely, you can see our puppy in the back, which I've already pre-medded with medication so that we can prepare for the surgery. So this puppy has what we call an entropion, which basically means that its eyelid is rolling inwards and irritating the eyeball. This can happen for a number of different reasons, and one of the ways in which you can correct it is through surgery. Now, because this dog is a puppy and only 7 months at that, I decided not to do the surgery that it was booked in for and offer an optional other surgery instead, which is called tacking the eyelids in order to alleviate the irritation. Now, what you see is us prepping the patient to be connected to the anesthetic machine, because this is a procedure that will be done under a full anesthetic. In the meantime, our other nurse, Mel, brought another case round just so I could help express the anal glands, and KP was keeping a watchful eye over our dog, monitoring the anesthetic, and she will monitor the anesthetic throughout the procedure. All that's left is for me to gown up, scrub in so that I'm sterile, and perform the actual procedure. Now, the aim of the procedure is for me to place some sutures on the bottom eyelid so that it peels outward and no longer irritates the eyeball. I will place a link in the description for a previous version of the surgery that I've done on my Instagram.
It looks pretty easy, but it takes a lot of skill to recognize that we didn't need to slice it and instead we stitch it. So this is post-surgery, and you can see now the eyelid is tacked back.
Now we're talking about a centimetre difference in the before and after, but that difference is a lot more comfortable for the dog because the eyelashes will no longer be rubbing on the inside of the eyeball and will actually be facing the position they should be.
That's right, double G.
And all your vigilant monitoring. I'm nothing without. I've got some consults to do now.
Yeah, get to work.
Oh man. That's some sexy music on.
What you wanted me to add?
Once I've finished in the operating theatre, the patient is then moved from the theatre to their kennel where they can be monitored by a nurse as they recover and wake up. This is the most important time, which is why we have a nurse on standby whilst I go and do all the other consults that I need to do. You can see my patient here. She looks lovely. The eye is a little bit inflamed as expected, but the aim is to keep the stitches in for as long as possible while she's still growing.
She's going to be XXX.
You're gonna be, if you're 8 months and you're this big, you're going to sleep. What's left now is we have some vaccinations. By this point, it may well seem like it's afternoon, but it's very much still the morning and I have lots of consults to crack on with. So we're back in the consult room and I'm seeing some puppies, some dogs and some cats for various queries that the owners might have, but also vaccination, wellness clinics and also immunotherapy. The way consulting set up is that I see a consult every 10 to 15 minutes. So that might mean that I see about 4 to 6 people in an hour. I'm vlogging now, so you can say hi to the vlog.
Oh, hello!
Honourable shout out to Elle. She's one of the receptionists that work in the practice, and she brought her cat Rudy to come and see me because he was struggling with an irritation that is infected on the side of his face. What you're seeing me do now is the physical exam, because obviously cats cannot talk, so they can't tell us what happened, so I need to do the physical exam in order to determine what medications I need to use.
Oh, you like that, don't you? Like that, baby. Don't let me go.
Another super critical part of the consult is a bit that most people don't see. It's the note taking, because I do not have an infinite memory and I need to be able to look back at these notes in the future. And so does anybody else who wants to understand what's going on with the case.
Okay, so this is where the part of being a vet is a mystery. My next consult is literally belly looks saggy. No clue what that means, but we shall find out what we are talking about.
One of the most difficult parts of the job, but probably the most diagnostic, is history taking. This is how we figure out why your pet has what it has and what we need to do in order to help treat it. It's often based on the history that we can prescribe the drugs necessary, but also decide what next steps we're going to take.
You look amazing, Gigolo. Casey's here, everybody. Yeah. Have you got the booster done up? The vaccination, and meet me here in 2 minutes. No, you can actually. Who am I signing this for? Next consult is Darcy Staffy with a lump on her leg. So let's figure out what's going on there.
What you're seeing here is the results of taking a fine needle aspiration of a tumour on a dog. Dogs with lumps and bumps are probably one of the most common consults we see. And even though it can be pricey, I will always recommend taking samples because it's the best course of action.
It was a dog that had developed a new lump on its leg. Now, lumps on legs we always tell owners to bring in so we can check them, but we can't know what they are unless we send them off for sampling and examination under a microscope. So we've taken some samples, we're going to send it off. The problem is that sometimes this can be a bit pricey and leads us to have to cut corners where we go straight to surgery without knowing what the mass is. But at least this way, if we send it off, we can find out what the mass is and develop an appropriate plan. So always get your masses checked. My next consult following this is actually running late. It's a dog that's eating and drinking a lot, but that could be a number of different things. And then I have 2 more health checks, and then I have a short lunch break, which I have to get through all the admin.
The harness has got, there used to be like a lot of room.
Okay.
She's got fat, and that was about 3 weeks ago, but yeah, we've not really noticed.
This is one, and we've also got something called Cushing's, which is to do with the adrenal gland. I do a full panel blood test first. Auntie Mel said she's going to take your blood today.
I would like to suck the blood. The highlights like all the equipment.
Still really look. Separate serum.
So that's the real question.
Oh, you might have to edit manually.
Add it, yeah, that's the one I need you to do. Got the bloods, I didn't film it, but...
For you.
Mel, what do we call you?
What do you call me?
Take Drake.
No, that's my nickname. First take Jake. Right, amazing.
I reckon.
He's cute.
With the blood test all done, little one can return back to the consult room, and we just have to wait for the results to come back as we're sending them off to an external lab.
Okay, so this is my last one for lunch. I am 30 minutes behind because none of this ever runs on time. But yeah, you can see how busy it is. Whoa.
So usually we get about 30 minutes for a lunch break. That never really happens because we have to send off these samples, but also discharge patients.
Go, it's time to go home. Sam, say hi to the vlog.
Hi.
Sam, he's another doctor.
Carol, I have you know.
Oh, how do you know? And the first consult is lethargic and leaky bum. So let's see what that involves. We have got to ultrasound a dog. Suspected pyrethria. We're going to ultrasound the dog. I've also got consults waiting and a possible blocked bladder cat on the way. So as you can tell, nothing is going as planned. Okay, so here we see her bladder. We come a little bit in front of the bladder. We can see this fluid filled member here. And just below it, if I cross-section it, there's the upper fluid filled member. So those are our 2 uterine horns filled with pus. So our chihuahua is definitely a pyrethria, so I'm gonna have to figure out. Well, actually, I don't have to figure out anything. I just have to do operations. The girls have to figure out what appointments to cancel, what to reschedule. The reason why pyrethria is super life-threatening is because they can develop septicemia and eventually die. So we have options of either treating it medically or surgically. Surgically is more favourable, but it also depends on the case. So we are going to, depending on what the owners want to do, we'll either offer surgery or medical treatment. Now, the difficulty with surgery is that I am fully booked for the whole day. And I actually have a consult waiting. The boss lady, whether or not we can book in the bio. I'm just going to do these 2 booster vaccinations and then rush to the back, do the surgery, and then come back and try and finish some of the rest of my
consults.
Right, so I have PUP for Pio, block bladder, triage by Casey. This is why you have amazing nurses doing triage. She doesn't think it's blocked because it weaned an hour ago, so that means it hasn't got a block bladder. If I haven't explained it, a block bladder causes a fatal incidence in cats. We can lead them to death because they can't urinate. But anyway, I need to crack on with this Pio. What's up? Pardon? Yeah, it's true, mainly male cats, there we go, see. Great nurses. We're gonna do this Pio, yeah, so KP, can I hand over this one to me? Take our bloods.
Yeah, what does the...
Full, everything in a partridge in a pear tree.
So you want extended?
Extended, yeah. It's just kind of open, but it was quite a lot of pus in there.
So as you can see, when an emergency comes in, everything else has to kind of go on hold, and so things don't seem as organised as they were in the beginning. And this is a consult that I had to quickly squeeze in because it had a potential for a blocked bladder. So I quickly saw them before I went to do surgery.
You call it consistency.
That consult turned out to be a cat with a UTI, but my other consults turned up and I had to squeeze them in as well just before I closed my consults for the rest of the day so I could crack on with the surgery.
Right, so that was the last one done. I need to go and operate now. Stress cystitis cat. Now we're gonna operate.
The same thing as you saw this morning. This is us just intubating little one so she's ready for the anaesthetic.
KP doing what she does best. KP's going to inspire all the young nurses out there watching this. So shout out to all my young nurses. As we can see, there's a little bit of discharge. Is that urine as well?
I think that's a bit of urine as well.
So whilst I prepare myself for theatre, which involves me scrubbing in, getting sterile and gowning up, the ladies will be prepping the patient for her anaesthetic and the operation. So they're hooking her up to the machine, putting her on fluids, making sure she's stable so that when I show up, all I have to do is take out the uterus and the ovaries and keep it moving. It's moments like this where teamwork really is the dream work, and it really is all hands on deck to help out when we have an emergency surgery because we get stretched so thin.
Huge.
Not too sure if you could see it well enough, but that was the large uterine horn. Now in this dog, she had one uterine horn that was absolutely filled with pus and the other one wasn't quite as large. This is what we call the pyometra. So a pyometra is basically a secondary infection of the uterus. Usually in older dogs, as they get older, they're more prone to develop cystic endometrial hyperplasia. And this is due to their hormones and also their age. And sometimes the uterus is secondarily prone to getting infected. And this is the pyometra. And this becomes a medical emergency. And this is why I am operating to have to take out her ovaries and her uterus. If she was spayed earlier, then it's very likely she wouldn't have had this at all. But spaying can be a difficult decision to make, so it's always best to discuss with your vet whether it's right for your pet.
And there she is. All done. That's a wound.
If you are adverse to blood and pus, look away now and skip the next minute, okay? Just skip it.
And this is what was inside of her. That was all inside of her, just pus. All that was all the pus that was inside of her. Yummy. Right, so, op is done. Now I need to call the owners. Let them know that we're successful. She's going to be recovered. Hopefully we'll see her back tomorrow. Maybe go to vet now if she's not recovered well enough, but she should be fine, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Did the hard part. Now it's all in her hands to get strong.
So despite the op taking me only about 30 minutes to complete, what really sets you back is the fact that you still have to write all your notes, you still have to talk to your owners, and you have to discharge the patients. So whenever there is an unplanned op, even though we can do it, it sets us back because we have to reschedule a lot of other appointments, and we also have to find a way to squeeze it in somehow. But honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better procedure. I mean, little one did so well under her anaesthetic. She was very stable throughout. The op was very quick, and she recovered really nicely. And also, whilst I was writing my notes, I was consistently checking her. She was in the cage just to the right of me, if you can't tell. The best part was delivering the good news to the owner to let her know that she's safe and sound, she recovered well, and we got the nasty infected uterus out, which is fabulous and is always a win. But by this point, I'm absolutely shattered.
The award goes to you, Lola. Nurse of the day goes to Mel. Nurse of the day.
don't know what that song's in my head.
And bet of the day goes to you, Sam.
Of course.
I did nothing. Day of the life. Right, cool. That's a wrap. I'm gonna go home.
Peace out. Anytime.
Love you all. Thank you so much for your help. See y'all later.
See ya.
Where are my keys?
Have fun at squash.
Listen to the consult.
Left my keys.
And just to round off the day, I went home to go and play squash with one of my good friends. I actually forgot my trainers at home and I showed up late because obviously I had emergency surgery, but that's how life goes. And the next day, I managed to see Lola for her post-op check and she was looking absolutely stunning.
is. Good job, Lola. Lola, look here, smell. She's like, no thanks.
I'm gonna smell your belly.
She looks lovely.